Hi, what's up? I'm Channel Pup, the mascot for the level-headed fanboy. At the time of recording this, it was yesterday that we received 2 new looks at Marvel's Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 5 at the State of Play stream event. One of which being a look at the game's expanded New York, the other being a look at the Digital Deluxe Edition. So in this video we're going to be discussing what's new with Spider-Man 2, but also how it contributes to this game being a completely different beast to prior Spider-Man games, evading comparisons. So stay tuned. So admittedly, I'm not hugely fond of this game being titled Marvel Spider-Man 2, simply for how much it's going to muddy up discussion when it comes to the other games titled Spider-Man 2, of which there are 2. This being the third Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 2 3, if you like. I wish we had something just a bit more distinctive and frankly more SEO friendly for specific videos about this one. However, I would be lying if I said the title didn't make sense for Marvel Spider-Man 2, as it pretty much doubles down on everything. From what we're seeing, this game offers up the biggest expansion a Spider-Man follow-up has received since the expansion from Spider-Man 1 the game to Spider-Man 2 the game. The movie, that is. Obviously, we know already that we'd be getting 2 unique playstyles in the form of Peter Parker's Spider-Man and Miles Morales' Spider-Man. Miles with his unique Venom abilities, and Peter with more of an emphasis on gadget play. But heck, we're even outdoing Ultimate Spider-Man as far as playstyles in an open world go, as Peter can access the symbiote suit for further different types of combat, and I guess we're yet to see if the symbiote will have any kind of impact on traversal. But we do know that the alien suit will have a huge impact on the combat. So yeah, how exciting. Now yes, we have had other Spider-Man games with more playstyles than this. The best example I could think of would be Spider-Man Shattered Dimension. But this definitely marks the first time we've had this many unique playstyles and variations in an open-world New York City in any kind of meaningful capacity. Yes, Spider-Man 3 the game had the new Goblin playable on top of the red and black suits for Spidey, but he's more just an unlockable addition rather than an intrinsic part of the game. Peter, Miles, and the symbiote are not just like optional extras, you're gonna have to play them all at some stage. And we do have a bit more of an understanding of how this game is going to integrate our 2 Spideys as well. When exploring NYC, you can switch between either Spider-Man in an instant, and this can also be used for fast travel to different locations with no load times thanks to the PlayStation 5's solid-state drive. The Friendly Neighborhood app from Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales is also returning, this time accessible by both Miles and Peter. Now, I thought the Friendly Neighborhood app was a really smart addition to Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, as it gave us easy access to a variety of unique side missions beyond the small selection we'd typically cycle through in the original Marvel Spider-Man. These weren't just stop the speeding car or stop the break-in, they were a bit more involved, and the whole app theming to this menu was a really nice bit of immersive UI. So I'm glad to see that back for Marvel Spider-Man 2. But again, we've doubled up, as both Spideys have access to this, with some missions being available to one specific Spider-Man, while others allow the player to choose which Spidey they want to attend. We're also seeing what appears to be dual takedowns, like what we saw between Prowler and Spidey in the Miles Morales chapter, which is really exciting as the dual character takedowns were always incredibly thrilling to pull off. I do wonder how much of this game we'll have both Miles and Peter together for. Now, we don't really have much to go by to say what kind of shape the core progression of the story is going to take between our 2 Spideys. We know we can pretty much choose to play as whoever in the open world, but I'd imagine the main story will mandate a specific Spidey for each mission, with little wiggle room for choice on top of that. Although we do have confirmation that once Peter gets the black suit, he can switch between his black and his red suits instantly, a la Spider-Man Web of Shadows. I do doubt that we will have like a choice system in the game like Web of Shadows did. You know, where you could choose between whether or not you wanted to play as an edgelord or whether you wanted to play as Spider-Man. As because these Insomniac titles are very story-based and kind of almost episodic as well, I think they're going to have like a hard-cut ending for this game's story. There's not going to be like a multiple-choice option. Which makes sense, as with a game like Web of Shadows, it's kind of impossible to do a sequel to that game without kind of undercutting the multiple-choice nature of the game's story. Now, our Spideys also have their own skill trees, which include tech, traversal, combat abilities, much like what we've come to expect from the Marvel Spider-Man series. This also includes additional suits, and I'm going to go into a bit more detail on that later when we get to talking about the Digital Deluxe Edition. And there's quite a bit to talk about, so we will talk about it there. They've also doubled up on the size of the New York map for this one. As we can see, with this map view, yeah, it's almost twice the size. However, there's a bit more variation in how we're going to traverse through these new boroughs, as they don't necessarily have the high buildings found in Manhattan Island. Fortunately though, Insomniac have us covered though with a new traversal ability, web wings. So we've seen these in the previous gameplay preview, and I have talked about them a little bit before. However, we get to see a bit more of them in action and how use of the web wings feeds into the web swinging. Now, as much as I do enjoy Insomniac's thrilling and cinematic approach to web swinging in Spider-Man games, I have been a little critical of it overall reducing player input and agency when compared to the previous games, particularly with the first Marvel Spider-Man game, as the increase in automation made traversal feel a bit more like a blank canvas than an all-encompassing traversal mechanic. The Miles Morales game did improve on this by doubling down on the in-air stunts and changing things up with his Venom abilities, and it looks like Insomniac are only taking things further with the gliding afforded to us by the web wings, which are sure to be a game changer. It means that if the web swinging itself remains as kinda foundational as it was in the first Marvel Spider-Man game, it's just one of many traversal mechanics we can mix and match, making it less comparable to, say, the web swinging in the Spider-Man 2 game. The Treyarch one, back on the 6th console generation. These damn Spider-Man 2s, too many Spider-Man 2s. I can't believe I'm saying that, Spider-Man 2 is my favorite. But can you guess which one? I guess as much as I would like to see more skill-based web swing mechanics make a comeback in these titles, it is really cool to see Insomniac making traversal their very own, fully evading comparisons to previous games this time around. I can't wait to see what kind of speed and stunts can be pulled off using the web wings, and I'm really hoping we can use those web wings to do somersaults and loops in the air like a fighter pilot. This could bring us the most thrilling traversal system to date, but I think it would be a bit unfair on this game if I were to hold my breath hoping for anything overly specific. As it is, it's just amazing to see this game-changing new element introduced, and I think it's going to make traversal in the new boroughs all the more interesting for it. And it makes me wonder, how possible is web swinging going to be in these new boroughs? Like, in Ultimate Spider-Man, obviously, you could web swing through Queens, even though it didn't have any tall buildings. But like, Ultimate Spider-Man had quite cartoony, quite floaty web swing mechanics, which worked really well for that game, don't get me wrong. So maybe there was a lot of compensation there that we won't be afforded here. It's just going to be really interesting to see, especially considering that web swinging has had a height limit in the Insomniac Spider-Man games. I especially can't wait to play as either Spidey in Coney Island. I've always wanted to see more of Spidey in an amusement park environment. We almost got it in Spider-Man Homecoming, and for some reason it didn't happen. Then we kinda loosely got it with a Ferris wheel in Spider-Man Far From Home, but come on, give me a full fight set in Coney Island, guys. That'd be so cool, like have Spider-Man and a villain fighting atop a roller coaster or something. I'd be really interested to see how the Spideys can interact with the theme park mechanics like roller coasters and Ferris wheels in this game. How these could be used in kinetic boss battles and so on and so forth. If there's one thing Insomniac does well, it's crafting thrilling set pieces, so I'm really hoping we'll see Coney Island involved in one of those thrilling set pieces. So we also know a bit more about what villains we'll be facing off against. As in the time between, like, my last Marvel Spider-Man news update video and now, we've had a story trailer, but we've also had kind of more villains introduced in the recent gameplay footage as well. So let's talk a bit about them. Obviously, we knew that Kraven the Hunter would be the primary villain of the game, as he comes to New York with an army of hunters to take Dr. Connors, aka the Lizard, as his trophy. So we've got that cool dynamic of Spider-Man protecting the Lizard from Kraven the Hunter, despite the Lizard himself being a threat. It's a dynamic we have seen before in Spider-Man 3 the game. Not the upcoming 2028 release, I mean the original Spider-Man 3 movie video game. Be intriguing to see if I'm right about a 2028 release for Marvel Spider-Man 3. Now, that awesome dynamic was unfortunately ruined by Spider-Man 3, the movie game's atrocious difficulty balancing, particularly with Lizard Part 3, which is one of the most poorly balanced levels in any video game ever, and is the sole reason I have not played that game or picked it up again since. You go into a boss battle arena with Kraven the Hunter, which takes like 45 minutes because the guy has way too much HP. The quick time events always come without warning, so you could be mashing the X button to fight, and then suddenly you get a Y button prompt which you fail because you smack the X button. And then just when it's all over, with no additional health boost, you get dropped into a pit full of lizards, which killed me to death. Killed me to death, they did. And in the try again screen sent me all the way back to the goddamn Kraven boss. And apparently it will do this regardless of where you're at in this mission. This mission apparently has 2 boss fights, one of which being the Mega Lizard, which I've never fought before because screw this mission, it ain't worth it. This is atrocious. This is what makes Spider-Man 3 the game the worst for me. Like, did anyone play test this? Wait, hang on a minute, I don't have to worry about it anymore. Because we get really amazing Spider-Man games these days. Not only that, we're giving this particular storyline another stab. Thank you, Insomniac. We are pairing this really great dynamic with Insomniac Games' penchant for excellent storytelling. And I think I can very easily excuse the revisitation of a familiar concept just for that reason. Another obvious villain for this one is Venom, played by Tony Todd, who made his first appearance for this game in the very first announcement teaser for it. We knew a long time ago that Venom would be in this game. Obviously, Peter's getting the black suit, so you know where that goes. However, Insomniac are keeping it a mystery as to Venom's identity, explicitly stating that Venom will not be Eddie Brock in this game. The most obvious candidate being Harry Osborn, and alright, so if they'd kept the old Peter Parker face from the PS4 version of Marvel Spider-Man, Peter and Harry would be borderline indistinguishable. But what makes him an obvious candidate is that we've seen that he's suffering from a sickness that Norman Osborn has been trying to cure using the symbiote. It'd make sense that he'd bust out imbued with the power of Venom, but we've seen in the story trailer that he's out and about and he's fine with no visible symbiotic afflictions. A lot of people online have speculated that Venom will actually be none other than Peter Parker, just at a stage where the symbiote has taken over. And it's not without its evidence, as we do see at the end of our first gameplay preview, Peter's symbiote eyes grow more jagged and Venom-like. This could purely be an expression, or it could be hinting at an evolution between Spidey and Venom, with us possibly playing as Venom for a brief stretch. And at the start of the story trailer, we do see Harry tell Peter that they're going to heal the world, and then at the end of the story trailer, we hear Venom say that he's going to heal the world. With it making it maybe a little too obvious that maybe Venom is Harry in this circumstance. A more surprising outcome would be that it's Peter after that conversation adopting that saying with the Venom persona. I won't lie, there is some credence to this. However, what leads me to doubt this theory is that we've seen the Collector's Edition statue, featuring both Peter and Miles throwing down with 19 inches of Venom. Now, this could be purely symbolic of the game's central internal conflict, but I think that's maybe just a little unlikely. There has been a bit of a tradition among Insomniac's Spider-Man game series of keeping the identities of the secondary villain a secret, introducing their alter egos in a will they won't they kind of fashion. There was no marketing that hinted at Doc Ock being a villain in the first Marvel Spider-Man game, but as soon as we met Otto Octavius, it became pretty clear where things were going. The identity of the Tinkerer in Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales was kept under wraps too, but as soon as we were introduced to none other than Finn Mason in the game's main story, again, it was pretty darn tootin' obvious. I get the feeling that perhaps Insomniac are trying to throw us off the scent with Venom's identity in this one, a la the Arkham Knight being a quote-unquote completely original character made for the Arkham series. Eddie Brock's existence in the Insomniac universe has been implied in previous games. My prediction is we'll get a series of red herrings indicating Venom being other characters before revealing Eddie Brock as the big bad himself. Of course, introducing Eddie to us early enough in the story so it could, matter. This would be a means of making the reveal surprising enough, but ultimately staying true to the Venom character. After all, Eddie Brock is still important to the character of Venom, even if a multitude of other characters have bonded with that same symbiote. I'm not sure how I feel about a rich kid being Venom, so I'm not entirely sure how I'd feel about it being Harry. I'm willing to give it a chance, I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, but I think it's both a little too obvious and just a little at odds with Venom's character. That said, surprisingly enough, I haven't yet talked about Venom's design in this game, which was fully revealed in the story trailer, and we do catch a glimpse of it here as well. I've made my overall thoughts on the black suit design for Spidey pretty heard, but for the sake of getting you caught up to speed, I do like the overall design. I think it looks pretty cool from a distance. I appreciate that it's not just the main advanced suit in black, and the return of the classic symbiote spider symbol makes me very, very happy. But on close inspection, I do feel the suit suffers from the over-design curse found in a lot of Insomniac Spider-Man designs. There's an excess of armor lines over the suit, which looks okay in parts, like the shoulders where it kinda resembles a spider's exoskeleton. And yeah, that kind of detail I can really appreciate. But I'm not fond of how helmety the mask looks, or the bin liner looking textures on the joints and neck. I just plain don't like the mask looking like a helmet, but the slug-like joints feel very at odds with the exoskeletal look of the rest of the suit, and it just feels like two ideas that don't really mesh. Something simpler would have worked much better for me. I've always been of the belief that the symbiote Spider-Man suit should still look generally a bit heroic, a bit approachable, not so slimy or monstrous, but it is quite clear that Insomniac is committing to taking the direction of this suit being an eldritch horror, and I'm absolutely fine with that. Even if I find the designs hit and miss, I can usually vibe with what Insomniac does with these characters, and I'm a-okay with change. So why did I just go off on a tangent about the black suit design, you ask? Well, because of that, I was a tad concerned that Venom would suffer the same fate, covered in armor lines and different textures. But fortunately, Tall, Dark, and Tonguey sits firmly in the camp of wonderfully realized Insomniac Spider-Man characters. Yep, he's Venom alright. His design is similar to the Venom that we see in the current Sony films, but this time with a white spider on the chest and a much larger, more aggressive-looking mouth. A lot less friendly looking than his Tom Hardy counterpart, which makes a whole lot of sense given that he's a villain in this game. The one departure here being the spider emblem on the chest, which has been redesigned, which... okay, I would have loved if they'd kept the classic spider symbol seen on the black suit, but I understand why you'd want to make the distinction between the black suit Spider-Man symbol and Venom symbol. Spider-Man 3 did it by changing the logo on symbiote Spidey's chest, and it makes sense that they've done this here. It's a little more web of shadows in how the top legs wrap around his shoulders. It feels to me like the philosophy of making Venom's eyes a jagged, more villainous version of the black suit Spidey's eyes has been adopted with the logo here too, as the legs look a lot more jagged, a lot more blade-like, and to the point where the spider on his chest almost kinda looks like an open Swiss Army knife. Although I'm not huge on the jester collar shape caused by the zigzag legs at the top. And I also wish he had hand pads, which are not present here. But I am just analyzing this for the sake of analysis though. It overall looks great, nitpicking aside. And I much prefer the way Venom looks to Black Suit Spidey. Wraith has also been teased for this game, which makes sense given that Yuri Watanabe played a major role in the first Marvel Spider-Man game. Another ally turned enemy for Peter Parker. He is not gonna have a good time in this game. We also know that Martin Lee will be playing a role in this game too, giving Miles a chance to seek vengeance for the death of his father. A chance that I'm certain he won't take, he'll take the high path, he's Spider-Man at the end of the day. But Martin Lee's return and Peter's corruption are going to make it hard to keep Miles' morals in check. See what I did there? I expect he'll be the true MVP of this game though, and will resist all temptations to turn bad. We've also seen through side missions in the recent footage that Prowler will get his own side story, and the same goes for Mysterio. I'm thrilled! Finally, Mysterio playing a decent role in another Spider-Man game. It's been so long. He was paid homage to in the first Marvel Spider-Man game at the Halloween party, but now he's actually a character in the game. For reference, Mysterio is my favorite Spider-Man villain, and typically he steals the show when it comes to Spider-Man games, as his trickery and mastery of illusion often makes for some out-of-the-box gameplay. But we do get our first glimpse of Mysterio in this video, to which I've seen has received some backlash from Spidey Twitter, with people disappointed in his design. But I'm pretty certain this isn't Mysterio's actual look. We know that there is a form of classic Mysterio suit around in this universe, as we had the cosplayer in the first game dressed as Mysterio, fishbowl and all. Here we've got, I assume, Quentin Beck in purple robes. Honestly, all I need is a fishbowl on his head. I'm open to some unique designs for Mysterio, but I think the fishbowl is just too integral to the iconography of the character, and I think Insomniac will know better than to omit it. Particularly after how the MCU demonstrated how cool this design element can look in a realistic space. I'm not worried about Mysterio's design, I'm sure that this is just a little tease. So in terms of our confirmed villains roster for Marvel Spider-Man 2, we have Kraven, Lizard, Venom, Wraith, Martin Lee, to some capacity anyway, Prowler, and Mysterio. Maybe some more to be revealed later, but that's a really solid roster. And I get the feeling that they're saving Green Goblin for the third one. So let's talk unlockable suits, as obviously a game featuring 3 different styles of Spider-Man would require a lot more suits than your average game. There are over 65 overall suit designs from different Spidey multimedia, as well as some Insomniac originals in there too. But they've taken things even further with customizable color palettes, creating over 200 suit combinations. Wow, that's a game changer. Being able to toy with the color palettes of the different Spidey suits just allows for that extra level of personalization. We're seeing Miles Morales' anniversary suit, which is a design that I do really dig. We're also seeing the 2007 Spider-Man 3 style black suit, which I was absolutely hoping for, and you can bet that that is the suit I will choose as soon as I can for the majority of my playthrough with black suited Spidey. It's really funny that in the year of our Lord 2023, I'll be able to play through a Spider-Man game that features Kraven going after the Lizard while wearing the Spider-Man 3 black suit, eventually fighting Venom. Really making up for Lizard Part 3 here. Might as well have me beat up catwalk models while they're at it. We've also got a Captain America-inspired suit for Miles, the Peter David Scarlet Spider suit, wondering if he'll have that unsettling mouth, new variations of the Superior Spider-Man costume, which was on my wish list years ago, so I am pleased to see that so nicely realized. The classic suit from the first game returns with new variations including Webman, but we've also got a black and red variant, which I cannot wait to see how that's gonna look with web wings, because then we've basically got a modernized Ditko suit. We've got a black and white 2099 variant, which I suspect will be a symbiote equivalent to the 2099 suit, which leads me to wonder if each suit will have its own symbiote variation. In the menus, we're also seeing some other suits for Miles, including a lot of returning suits from his spin-off game, including personal favorites, his classic suit and his 2099 suit, as well as, of course, the Purple Rain suit. But that's not all, as we have the Digital Deluxe trailer, revealing 5 other suits for Peter and Miles, each with color variations, which I'm assuming are either exclusive to that version or will be available as probably a paid DLC, or can maybe be unlocked later on, hard to really tell right now. For the Peter suits, we've got the 25th Century suit, which is a very faux futuristic look as the name implies, lots of pipes and armaments. The Apocalyptic suit, which will probably be the go-to for fans of Spider-Punk, which I expect there'll be many post across the Spider-Verse. A new tactical suit, once again, lots of white futuristic armor. Orantia, another armored deal. Stone Monkey, it's got a bit more of a Tudor look to it. And then that brings us to the Miles suits. My heart skipped a beat when I saw Tokusatsu suit, but it's a new design rather than being the Spider-Man Tokusatsu suit. Still no Takuya Yamashiro representation yet, but we do have this very Super Sentai-inspired look for Miles, which I dig. The encoded suit, which is, once again, very tech. Honestly, I kinda dig the Agimat suit with its purple and gold chainmail aesthetic. The Red Spectre suit has kind of an urban assassin kind of vibe to it. And finally, the biomechanical suit, which is kind of an organic armor. They really like their armored suits, don't they? Now, I think the Digital Deluxe is appealing to a very specific crowd. Less comic book purists, more those who want to enjoy the very unique Spider-Sonas, and all power to them. I'm glad that market is being catered towards. However, I myself, I'm not going to be buying the Digital Deluxe version of the game. For one, I feel a game as special as Marvel Spider-Man 2 commands a physical copy. I still love my physical media. I tend to just buy digital for games that aren't included in any of my religious experiences category. Things I've just been recommended to try out that I've been just a little curious about, maybe. The other thing is, it's very unlikely I'd be playing in any of these incredibly out-there designs. As a longtime Spider-Man fan, I think at this point I know what I like from Spidey designs, and I'm rarely surprised to find myself gravitating towards a brand new out-there concept. That being said, I'm not that close-minded, as the exception is Miles' 2099 suit. I love the look of that design and spent most of my last playthrough in Spider-Man Miles Morales playing in that suit. Realistically, if it's available, I'll be playing Peter Parker in the Raimi suit, with the 2007 Raimi black suit as his symbiote alternative. And for Miles, I'll probably just stick him in the classic suit that he wore in Spider-Man Miles Morales. I know it's a different aesthetic, but I'm fine with these guys having incredibly unique aesthetics. That said, it would be seriously cool if for every Peter suit there's a Miles equivalent. So a Raimiverse-inspired Miles, or maybe an MCU-inspired Miles suit. I'd love that. With that in mind, I think I'm going to work on my new suits wishlist / bingo card for a future video ahead of the game's release, which isn't too far off now. Oh, Jesus Christ, so new images just dropped. I'm quickly going to talk about that. Just while I was recording, new images dropped. One of which giving us a brand new look at symbiote Spidey, and his logo seems to be evolving into Venom's logo, while the eyes seem to be evolving into Venom's eyes further, suggesting an evolution of the black suit. But also, we're not seeing any armor lines here, which makes me really happy. That looks way better in my opinion. That, and maybe that does give some credence to the idea that Peter Parker will be Venom. Okay, just wanted to add that in there at the end there for you. Cover all bases, you know? I just know that once this is uploaded, there'll be some other news drop, but to hell with it. I gotta stop at some point. Bonus! So we got some first impressions from people who have played Marvel Spider-Man 2. One of which being Caboose EK, who's listed off the following. There's a new symbiote surge ability similar to the Rage ability from the God of War games. Possibly a Spider-Verse side quest. Oh, that'll be interesting. An option to toggle fall damage on or off. Well. Isn't that funny, Spider-Man Twitter? Yes, I was quite a clown for wanting fall damage in a Spider-Man game, wasn't I? Seriously, thank you for listening, Insomniac. I don't know if it was to me in specific, I don't think I have their attention, but it does make me very happy to see them listening to feedback. Symbiote suit abilities can be used with different alternate suits, so you could just have the symbiote suit look like anything else. And you can customize what goes on your L1 special attack wheel. Miles and Peter will play some missions together. Robbie Robertson narrates tidbits about NYC through a side quest where you take pictures of notable landmarks throughout New York City. And boss battles now have health bars, and the lizard fight is allegedly a huge step up from the boss battles in the last two games. Well, how about that? I'm incredibly excited for this game. Having 2 playable Spideys, 3 unique playstyles, New York at double the size, new traversal options, and color mods for every suit brings this game to an entirely different level to what's come before if done right, with Insomniac developing it purely around the technological advantages of the PlayStation 5. I'm expecting a real game changer. I don't think there'll be much comparison between this and what's come before, simply because this is such a different beast. It's bigger, it's sprawling, it's customizable. We'll just have to see how Insomniac pull this off, but I'm expecting something greater together here. That doesn't make any sense. I tried something. Folks, what do you think? How do you feel about how this game is shaping up? Did you enjoy this video? Comment below, discuss. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to support more like it, be sure to hit subscribe, hit the like button. And in the description below is a link to the Patreon where you can be the first to get behind the scenes access to the upcoming Pup Pictures projects, including Spider-Man Genesis, where we've made the casting announcement for the new Peter Parker, and the first draft of the script will be available soon. On top of that, for as little as $1 a month, you can get your name in the credits of these videos. And now for the very special high decibel shoutouts. For the patrons in the $10 and above tier, we have Glad Goku, Sharif Pai, Dare Denny, Kale Bennett, That Jordo, Ted K from Warheads, Is Sonic Team making you blue? Dimps leaving you dumped? I got the hiccups now. Excuse me. Big Red Button giving you a big red headache? Try Sonic the Chronic. Hiccup. Sergei. This ain't easy. Sergio. Sir the Skeptic. The person is the previous person is selling pictures of their weenus. Almost floundered there. Now for those in the $5 tier, we have SSS06, Joachim Sergini, Dazzle Fizzle, and Vera Wild. Excuse me. To everyone else, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.